Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be talking about bark busters, hand guards, flags, whatever you want, hand protectors, whatever you want to call them, that's what we're going to be discussing today. And the reason why I wanted to share this information with you is because looking back, I kind of wish that somebody had shared this information with me. And I think that I am a self-proclaimed bark buster killer. Yes, I came up with that by myself. You name the bark buster, you name the hand guard, I've broken it. I've been there and I've broken them all. And today I'm going to share with you the number one, the best of the best, the creme de la creme bark busters that exist that I have not yet broken. So let's go to the shop and let me share with all of you my favorite bark busters. That's actually a really great title of the video, like best bark busters in the world, question mark, question mark. Yes, great idea, Monica. Let's start off with the fact that absolutely every manufacturer probably now comes out with hand guards. You have a Service, you have Cycra, you have Fastway, you have Enduro Engineering, you have, I think, Tusk, the Rocky Mountain ATV brand. Everybody comes out with their own hand protectors. I'm going to call them bark busters because I've always called them that. Their own bark busters. I think absolutely anybody who is riding on any sort of a trail should be running bark busters. And unless you're a AA rider or some sort of a pro rider, maybe that doesn't pertain to you, but I think every beginner should be running some sort of a hand guard. And when I bought my FX I run into absolutely everything as contacts. And when I first bought my FX, I actually didn't have bark busters on for the first like 3-ish weeks. And what's really surprising about that is that I didn't run into a single tree. I didn't hit my bark busters. Once the bark busters were put on though, that was a whole different story. But I just think it's really funny that when I wasn't running any bark busters, I didn't hit or run into anything. The main difference between all of the bark busters that these companies come out with is the way that they adhere onto your bars. They have different mounting systems. And if you're somebody who rides moto, you definitely don't need bark busters. It is very unsafe to run bark busters if you're riding moto. There's a ton of horror stories out on the internet. Just Google it, of people getting hurt very badly when they run bark busters out on the track. So I think that absolutely everyone who is riding trails and who is riding in the woods should run them, especially beginner and, people that are just getting into the sport. So the first kind of hand guards that we're gonna talk about today are gonna be flags, okay? This is Jacob's bike. So flags mean that your handle guards don't wrap around. So they're held on by these little, I call them flimsy. I'm gonna say that these flimsy mounts. And if these are not secured, or if you hit something, this has the ability to shift up and down. If you're an experienced woods rider like Jacob, these are gonna protect your hand. It's not a big deal that you don't have wraparound bars, but for someone like me who tends to drop their bike a lot or runs into basically any obstacle out on the trail, this isn't gonna do jack, okay? I ran these in an enduro and they lasted me about a mile before I broke them. And there's really nothing here that's protecting your actual hand. So, I mean, it's nice that you can kind of, bend them back and forth, but it's very flimsy, at least for someone like me. So I will never run flags. They look cool, but that's about it. They don't really serve me a purpose. Walking over to the Tenere here, we see a better system. These are wraparound hand guards that are made by Flex Company. I'm assuming that they're specifically made for the Flex bars themselves. And they mount to the bars using this little extension. Let me walk you over to Jake's XR here so you guys have a better view because the pad isn't in the way. So this little mounting system here is really sturdy because it's got like double security, and you know that if you fall, it's not being held on by just 2 bolts. Like this is basically impossible to break or bend. More handguards, Enduro Engineering. They also make awesome handguards. I think they make full wraparound handguards as well. These are just the flags, but this is it. This is the way that they're mounted to your bars, and having these side by side, you know, this mounting system of the two bolts that hang on to your handlebars is never going to be as strong and sturdy as something that actually, you know, rivets into the handlebar itself. You know, this is going to be a lot harder to break if you drop your bike or if you run into a tree than this. You know, one little incident, this turns, and then, you know, you have a good chance of bending this or something else. All right, this is the moment that you guys have all been waiting for, the moment why you probably clicked on this video. The #1 best handguards in the world that I decided were the best handguards in the world. Are you guys ready? The cycra Pro Bend Barkbusters handguards, whatever you want to call them. These are it, the best of the best. Now, it's pretty standard for me to have Barkbusters on for about 2 months before I wreck them and I need new ones. These have held up for the past 6 months. They have held up through drops. They have held up through trees, you name it. These are still going strong. And here is why. It's because of the mounting system and the way that they are attached to the bike's handlebars. So I have dropped this bike multiple times. I've ran into multiple trees and they've been pretty hard hits. And I think they've only moved once over the last 6 months. So these are wraparound handguards. They have a dip right here. So, you know, if you're holding on right here, it's kind of easy for your hand to slide off. So the mounting system here, you guys can tell that it's held on by these 2 screws, but it clings to the handlebars itself from the top and from the bottom. Whereas a normal flag would go around the handlebar, but it still has the ability to kind of turn. So that's why I absolutely love this system. And not only because of that, but it wraps around into the handlebar itself. So you actually have to screw this piece into the handlebars, and that's how it's held on. So any tilt or fall, it would be more difficult to move this handguard up and down versus this one. And as you guys can tell, flags are always replaceable, by the way, and so are these pieces, but, you know, if you're breaking this, then you have issues. But even with me falling several times, this is the most damage that I've done to these. And I'll replace the flags, but that's a quick, you know, 10-minute, not even 5-minute fix by unscrewing these little bolts right here and just changing out the flag. All right, guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this very short and sweet handguard video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. I am not an expert by any means, but I definitely have my experience with Barkbusters, and hopefully it made it a little bit easier to decide on which type of Barkbuster is right for you. My favorite is the cycra Pro Bend Ultras, and cycra should definitely sponsor me because I love their product and I have stood by their product for years. But these Ultras, they take handlebars to the next level. I also love the Fastway handguards. Those are bomb.com. So if you can't access the Ultras or they're out of stock for whatever reason, get yourself some of the Fastway handguards. You really won't be disappointed, and you can't go wrong with either one of those two. They've withstood my wrath. They have withstood the Barkbuster Killer Queen. I think the worst part about breaking Barkbusters is the fact that you don't even have to hit anything hard. A simple drop on a moto track has the ability to bend your Barkbusters if they're not very sturdy. And to wrap up the video, I'm going to include a collage of all of the uneven broken Barkbusters that I have gone through for your viewing pleasure, because I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys. Maybe it should be like a flags versus bark busters, like this or that video. That would be good too. What do you think, Max? A this or that video? He doesn't know. He doesn't ride. He is the moto pup though.